Hi, my name is Daniel Romero. I work for the San Diego Futures Foundation, and here at SDFF, I actually am the Training and Employment Manager. Today we're actually going to be speaking about keyboards and mice, which you'll be using with the computers that you have, and we'll actually begin with keyboards. Keyboards you may find are actually intended to input information into a computer, and by every keystroke that you actually do, actually receives one signal or message at the actual computer. So when I decide to push any of these keys, as long as it's connected to the computer, it will actually register a keystroke or a value or accepting a command for each function that you're doing on the keyboard. So in particular, this is a type of keyboard you may find that you may receive from SDFF at the CTC. So in particular, we're going to begin with what we call the home row keys. The home row keys are actually intended to allow an individual to gain a better sense of how to orientate their hands while they're on the keys. So you start by understanding that keyboarding is intended for two hands. One hand is intended to start its use at the period of J. You'll notice that there's a bump here to reflect that the home row starts with your index finger, followed by your middle finger, your ring finger, and your pinky finger. So for the right hand, you'll start with J, K, L, and the semicolon. On the right hand, or on the left hand side, you'll actually utilize the A, S, D, F with your index finger starting on the F of your left hand. Once you are able to orientate your hands in these particular ways, you'll actually be able to increase your typing speed, as your hand will now be able to go to other keys. So this is, in a sense, increasing your motor skills. And these are very, very practical skills that an individual should have. While you may now be connected to the internet, later on you might want to reference some of the websites that are for free typing. There's things that you can do, such as going to google.com and including a search on free keyboarding websites just by typing in free keyboarding websites. Some of them ones you may most commonly actually will be able to query will be from google.com. Essentially, now I would like to really go over some of the various keys that you'll find on a keyboard. We're going to start with actually the left-hand margin, and we'll work our way around the keyboard. So you have the escape button, which actually will allow you to get out of a program if you're currently utilizing it. Moreover, you'll have the tab. If you are in a Word document, you can actually tab to have an indent for a Word document. The caps lock will actually, once touched, you will be able to capitalize any of the following keys that you have after just holding the caps locks down for one keystroke. Once you click on the keystroke or punch the keystroke one more time for caps lock, the caps lock will turn off. It is usually indicated with a light that you'll find on your keyboard. Moreover, the shift. If you only want to have one capitalization, you can hold down the shift and you can type in the capitalized letter that you're intending to utilize. So for those who utilize the word I or the at the beginning of a sentence, you'll want to have shift and the T for the or the I just to get that across the screen. Moreover, you'll have the space bar that will actually allow you to separate or put a space in between each character or word that you may be utilizing. As we move further along, you'll notice that there is a Windows button which will actually open up your Start button on your desktop. But we're going to shift around, and you'll see Shift is there as well because that is for the right hand to utilize Shift, while this was intended for the left hand to utilize Shift. The Enter button is actually there to affirm a command, meaning if you want to jump to another space, another row, another line in a Word document, by hitting Enter, you are signifying you want to start a new line. If you are on a website and you are typing in the website, you'll want to hit the Enter stroke to confirm the command and go to the website. Up top, you'll actually see that there is a backspace. A backspace button is intended for you to erase characters. Erase characters that go from right to left. So when you hit the space button, you'll actually be erasing towards the left. Now its partner is actually the delete button. The delete button is actually intended for you to delete to the right. So while the backspace will delete toward the left, the delete button will delete towards the right. Moreover, you will also see the home and the end button. For those who are in a Word document or any word processing document, you may want to go to the beginning of a line, which you can do by clicking on home, or you may want to go to the end of a line of text by going and pushing on the end button. This is the very basics of navigating, which means you'll be going from one part of a document to another by moving up, down, left, or right in orientation. Moreover, there is a page up button which will allow you to, in a Word document, to move up an entire page, and a page down will allow you to move down an entire page. The next helpful set of keys you'll have to realize and recognize is the arrow buttons. The arrow buttons will allow you to navigate anywhere as long as the cursor is currently on the screen. The cursor is going to be found as either an arrow button, which we'll talk about with the mouse, or an eye function, an eye beam as we call it in a Word document. So as long as the cursor is there, we can move up by pushing the up key, down by pushing the down arrow, left with the left arrow, right with the right arrow. For those who need to utilize a keyboard to input numerical values, there is a number row, which we will be using by pushing the numbers, and you'll have the number pad, which is intended to actually utilize that in a more quick format. Essentially, some keyboards you'll find have extra special things to them, such as these keys that you'll find up top. These keys reflect certain functions that will allow you to do in an internet setting. Once you're in an internet window, you can use these to move back and forward from websites that you may be visiting, and also stop wherever you may be with regard to the internet functions. You can also go back, a particular function that I find helpful, and you can go to the home page with the home button, which if you have first start off your computer's internet browser, you'll have a home button or a home page associated with it. Moreover, you have a few more functions of emailing and other devices that you may find on your computer. But now I'd like to take a little last minute look at the last parts of the sound features. You'll find that you can actually, on some of the newer keyboards, relate the different sound functions by muting, by stopping, by going back or moving forward for any musical tracks you may be listening to. Also, you may have the play or the pause button, and this will actually open up your media. This little knob right here will actually reflect the volume control. And the only last aspect that you may find helpful to you as a user is actually intended to show you the top side, which are for USB slots. USB slots are something that we will, at a later point in time, discuss as you have for storage capacities or for other devices. This is a pretty general layout of a keyboard. Some are orientated in different manners. This board is pretty standard as to what is currently out there. You may have boards that are set up for more ergonomics and split your hands, so one hand is more intended for one side of the board as opposed to the other. But the same keys are found within all keyboards, all the basic letters, numbers, and signs. That is a general overview of keyboarding. All right, next we'll be focusing on the mouse. Whenever you get a computer, hopefully it does come with a mouse of some sort. A mouse is a really helpful instrument that we use to help navigate and do some very fun functions on our computers. So just to begin with, the mouse has a few basic parts to it. The left hand side has a left click button, which is going to be responsible for a lot of different functions, which we'll show you in a minute on our computers. There is also a right click field, which you'll be utilizing for getting a lot more options out there. Most times the mice are actually made for right-handed users like myself, and what you'll do is actually put your hand over the mouse, so you'll have the ability to put one finger, typically your index, over the left click. You'll also have the ability to put the middle finger over the right click. So when someone asks you to left click something, it's typically with your left hand, your left index finger, to click once, and a double click is to click twice on an aspect. If you also would like to use your right click, once again, it's just one right click, but as you can actually see on my screen back here, potentially, you'll be able to only have to utilize a right click once to pull up a menu. More so, the actual hand orientation will allow your thumb to help push up and down, and the other fingers to support your movement to navigate the mouse up and down and left and right, wherever it is you choose to be. There's also we call this a scroll wheel, which allows you to navigate up and down a page. So how that's used typically is individuals use either of their fingers to move down or up a document. And more so, if you have the ability to click on an object or on the scroll wheel, you'll actually be able to move down an entire page very quickly, or up an entire page very quickly, just by clicking the scroll lock one time. This particular mouse is actually a laser mouse. On the back you might see that my hand has a little bit of red, and to show you, most mice these days come as a laser mouse, and the way that it's really intended to work is having this mouse sensor work and connect itself to something like a mouse pad, which we are going to show you, just a generic mouse pad. So we're going to get into actually moving it across the screen, but understand this, that one of the wonderful functions of a laser mouse is that I don't actually need to have very many mouse pads anymore. Rather, I can actually just use a hard surface. And the precursor to one of these type of mice actually had a ball inside that would collect lint and dust, and one would actually have to clean out that lint from time to time to make sure that the actual sensors inside of the mouse would be working. So I'm going to have a break, and we're going to show you how that orientation and navigation occurs with the mouse on your computer screen. Okay, so this is the actual orientation that you'll find most mouse environments. So the actual mouse pad will be underneath the actual mouse, and the surface that you have is actually going to be utilized to move your mouse in any given direction. This is really crucial for the mice that you find with a trackball, because it needs this surface to help the sensor inside read where the actual mouse is going. But once again, for a laser pointer, this is just going to need any hard surface. So as we begin the navigation portion, just know that you have the ability to move your mice any which way. I'm going to start by opening up a Word document, and we're going to move to the left. So I will be moving my cursor left, and as you see on the screen, you'll actually be able to move left in orientation to open up the Microsoft Word. So with the left click, one click itself, I'm able to open up this particular program or application. Once I'm in this environment, understand this, I'm currently at the edge of my mouse pad. And like I said, with the laser pointer, we have a little more functionality and we can continue to spill over, but with the mouse that has a trackball in it, I'm limited in this surface space. So I always want to keep my mouse orientated as close to the center of the mouse pad as possible. While we're in this actual document, I'll show you a few features that you may find helpful. So in the right-hand margin, so as we go right, you'll see that we can actually click the arrows to go up and down. But by me dragging my mouse down, I can actually drag the same way that we had currently done previous to now. More so, I'm left clicking, once again, just left clicking, and by holding down, it's actually dragging the page up. But if I don't like to maneuver the page in that way, I can actually use this scroll wheel. Scroll wheel will actually allow me to move down the document in the same way. Or if I want a shortcut, once again, just by clicking once turns the actual pointer into a double-sided arrow where I can slowly move my document up or down. And when I'm done with the scroll wheel, all I have to do is just click. Once again, there's some special menus with regard to your mouse that you're able to access with a mere right click. So by clicking once with a right click, you'll see that I have a lot of functions that are available in this particular program and application. It's just going to depend on whatever you have open. But by left clicking on any item, it's sending a command and saying, yes, I'd like to confirm that command or installation onto the computer. More so, let's also talk about the importance of double clicking. So when I would like to highlight a word, I might want to double click on it and it highlights the entire word. And for those who are needing to, let's say, grab an entire paragraph and highlight it, you can start that by clicking, left click, and holding and dragging to wherever you would like to highlight. Those are the very basic functions of a mouse, and once again, if you are trying to move up a page or down a page on a mouse, you can accomplish this by utilizing things like your scroll arrows found on the right side of a page, or you can use the scroll wheel itself.